Ghost and Supernatural Stories by Ghostly Echoes Retold. It began on my third day after I stumbled upon a small, almost forgotten village nestled in a lush valley. That evening, I decided to camp by a serene lake just outside the village, its surface reflecting the last hues of sunset. The night was calm at first, the soft chirping of crickets and the occasional splash of a fish breaking the lake's surface lulled me into a light sleep. But just after midnight, a faint sound woke me, a soft crunching of leaves. I lay still, listening as the sound grew louder. Footsteps, slow and deliberate, circled my tent. My heart raced as I tried to convince myself it was just an animal, but the shadow that loomed through the fabric was unmistakably human. Summoning all my courage, I unzipped the tent and stepped outside, my flashlight trembling in my hand. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing nothing but the still waters of the lake and the quiet forest beyond. Yet when I turned back, I noticed a single muddy footprint smeared across the side of my tent. It was too large to be mine, and I hadn't seen anyone else near the lake. Shaken, I packed up and moved closer to the village, trying to dismiss the incident as an overactive imagination. The next few days took me deeper into the mountains, where the landscape grew more rugged and the villages even scarcer. It was on the edge of one such village that I found an abandoned train station, its decaying facade hidden beneath vines and moss. Intrigued, I ventured inside. The air was damp and carried the scent of mildew, the kind that clings to places left untouched for decades. I wandered through the empty rooms, brushing aside cobwebs and marvelling at faded posters in a language I couldn't understand. In one corner of the station, I came across a small, dusty mirror. The glass was warped, distorting my reflection into something elongated and strange. I leaned in closer, fascinated by the odd shape of my face, when I noticed movement. It wasn't me, it was someone behind me. I froze as the pale face of a woman appeared in the mirror. Her hollow eyes stared directly at me, unblinking. I spun around, but the room was empty. The only sound was my own breath, sharp and ragged. When I turned back to the mirror, the woman was gone, but something else had appeared. Words, written in a smeared dark streak, marred the glass. I couldn't read them, but their presence sent chills racing down my spine. Later, when I managed to translate the phrase, it left me trembling. Leave now. By the time I reached the forest, I was determined to finish my journey despite the mounting unease. On my final night, I found a clearing among the trees to set up camp. The canopy was so dense that barely any moonlight seeped through, leaving the space cloaked in shadows. I lit a small fire, its flickering glow offering some comfort against the oppressive darkness. At first it was just the rustle of leaves in the breeze, but then came the whispers. Faint and indistinct, they seemed to come from everywhere at once, rising and falling like a conversation just out of earshot. I sat frozen, straining to catch words, though I couldn't understand the language. The whispers grew louder, circling me, closing in. My flashlight beam darted through the trees, but there was nothing there. Then I saw the trees themselves. Their trunks seemed to shift and twist in the firelight, forming grotesque shapes, faces with hollow eyes and open mouths. One tree leaned toward me, its bark splitting as though it were trying to speak. The whispers coalesced into a single voice, low and deliberate. "You shouldn't be here." That was enough. I grabbed my backpack and ran, leaving my tent and supplies behind. The whispers followed me, fading only when I stumbled into the faint glow of a village far beyond the forest. Collapsing on the steps of a house, I was found by locals who spoke in hurried tones and cast anxious glances at the woods. When I tried to explain, an elderly man interrupted me, his voice grave. "The forest doesn't like strangers. You're lucky it let you leave." Even now, years later, I can still hear the whispers in moments of silence. I sometimes wonder what might have happened if I hadn't heeded the warnings. What would the forest have done if it had decided to keep me? If this chilling tale gave you goosebumps, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more stories like this. Thank you for tuning in to Ghostly Echoes. Until next time,